Welcome to day 10 of me challenging myself to post a video every single day. My video about how I lost 44 pounds in 8 months has been my best video so far. So I want to make another one about fitness. Fitness definitely falls into the category of personal development, which is what this channel is all about. So today I'm going to share with you my plan on how I'm going to get a six-pack. If you want to see more fitness content on this channel, hit the like button, subscribe, the bell, and comment down below. I've broken my plan down into 5 simple steps. And the first step is eat. In my video about how I lost 44 pounds in 8 months, I talked about how I maintained a caloric deficit. But at the time, I wasn't trying to build muscle. But I didn't know that that would have been a fruitless endeavor because I was in a caloric deficit. It turns out you actually need to be in a caloric surplus to build muscle. Your body won't build muscle if there isn't enough resources to go around. And in fact, if there's too few resources going around, it will eventually begin to cannibalize your muscle, having the opposite effect that you want. And it turns out one of the best ways to lose fat is to gain weight first, is to gain muscle, because gaining muscle increases your body mass, which increases your BMR, or your base metabolic rate. In other words, the calories that you spend just sitting around. It's the biggest chunk of the pie for the calories that you spend on a daily basis. So if you can increase that biggest chunk of pie, you're going to lose weight even faster. So by eating a caloric surplus, and I'm talking about healthy foods, we can get into clean bulking and dirty bulking later. That's another topic. I will be clean bulking as much as possible, trying to eat healthy foods at a caloric surplus, making sure that I prioritize fat and protein while using carbs as more of a pre and post workout to give my body energy to do the workout, to break the muscles down and then to build them back up. If you're wondering how much protein you should eat, a general rule of thumb is a 1-to-1 with your weight. So for however many pounds you weigh, that's how many grams of protein that you should be eating every day. For fat, it's important to prioritize that because eventually you'll want to cut again. So, to get shredded, as they say, you have to lose the fat. In order to do that, you have to burn the fat. In order to burn the fat, you have to get into ketosis. And in order to get into ketosis, it's going to be a lot easier for your body to do that if it's already used to eating fat. So I will be eating carbs, but only as a pre and post workout, like I said. Step 2 is pretty simple. I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to pick up heavy stuff, and I'm going to put it back down. I'm going to do that over and over until I can't. That's a really important point. Turns out failure is how you get maximum muscle recruitment. So in order to break down your muscles as much as possible, you have to reach that point of failure. I've made this mistake, I guess, almost every time I've ever lifted before. I went in with a certain weight in mind and a certain number of reps with a certain number of set of reps. Turns out kind of a waste of time. If you just go to failure over and over and over again, you will break down the muscle optimally. So far as what muscles I will be training, I'm going to prioritize from biggest to smallest. So glutes, quads, lats, hamstrings, and pecs. By doing that, I am going to increase my BMR the fastest. So in addition to the BMR, I will also be increasing the level of testosterone that is produced endogenously in my body. And obviously, testosterone is very closely correlated with muscle growth and strength. The more testosterone, the bigger you get and faster you get bigger. Step 3, sleep. Turns out 7 to 8 hours a night of sleep is crucial for muscle growth for both men and women. I found a study where the participants answered a survey on how much sleep they got every night, and there was a correlation between lower than 7 to 8 hours of sleep and a lower result on the grip strength test they were given. There was no correlation between sleeping more than 8 hours and an increase in strength. So 7 to 8 hours a night of sleep and you are getting optimum muscle regeneration and strength improvement. If you want to learn more about that study, I will leave the link in the description below. Go check it out. Pretty interesting stuff. Step 4 is keto. I'm going to go back to eating keto. I'm going to pretty much re-implement the strategy that I talked about in my first video on how I lost 44 pounds in 8 months. And but it's going to be a little bit different because instead of having a hard caloric deficit of about 500 to 1,000 calories, I'm going to shoot for about exactly as much as I need and eat 1 to 2 meals a day. Probably one, maybe start off with 2 meals a day and then work my way up to eating 1 meal a day to maximize the amount of time that my body is in a state of ketosis. And hopefully if I can manage to prioritize eating high fat, high protein foods during the bulking stage, which will last, I imagine, around 1 to 3 months. I'm not sure on that yet. I will update you as we go. Step 5 is repeat. So after I cut enough weight, and hopefully before I start eating into my muscle, I will repeat the whole process. I will start eating a caloric surplus again, exercising even harder, and making sure I get 7 to 8 hours of sleep every single night. And then once I bulk up enough, cut down again and just repeat the process, rinse and repeat until I have the physique that I want. And I don't want to be just skinny. Just to be clear, I don't want, if I wanted to be skinny and just have a 6-pack, I could just starve myself until that happens. That is obviously not a good idea. No one should do that. And, health being the primary reason, but secondarily, I just don't want to be skinny. I want to weigh around 200 pounds and have a very muscular physique with a low body fat percentage. So, to recap and conclude this video, we talked about 5 simple steps that I am going to implement in order to get a more muscular physique. Step 1, eat. Step 2, lift. Step 3, sleep. Step 4, keto. Step 5, repeat. Now, I need to be clear here because I'm no expert or professional or healthcare provider of any kind. So this is not advice. This is me sharing with you my plan on how I plan to get a more muscular physique. I'm not advising this to you. And if this sounds like something you are interested in doing, I highly suggest that you do your own research before making that decision, or at least talk to a doctor, especially if you have any underlying health conditions. Now that I've legally covered my ass, I will let you know how it goes for me because I see this as a self-experiment and I hope the results are good. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you got some value out of it. And I hope that if you did, you'll hit that like button, the subscribe button, and the bell button if you want to see more content like this. Again, I left the link in the description for the study on the relationship between sleep and muscle growth. If you want to learn more about that, I'll remind you now. It is down there in the description. Alrighty, see you next time. Bye-bye.